Hey, it's Margie with the Asking Spot, and I was driving along and I saw this. Can you guess what I decided to pick up as my project? It was something we needed. And when I say we, that means my husband and his project. If you've noticed, he's kind of good with plants. All right, he's really good with plants.
Little green.
And we get a lot of them. So this plant holder is going to be perfect. Unfortunately, the little cute pots that are in it, they've become brittle with time, so they're breaking apart, and that's not really helpful. So I'm going to have to do something to replace those, but I mean, I got my choice. We got plants. So let's just get to cleaning this piece and seeing what we can do with the rust. Okay, I'm gonna clean it now. You gotta step away. Come here, sweetie. Okay, so the main part about cleaning a piece is you want to get the big chunks that are going to flake off easily. Just go ahead and get those off so they don't bog down when you're trying to get a chemical in here to remove rust. Also, when you're cleaning, you get to learn more about the piece, and for the most part, this one isn't too terribly bad. But, oh yeah, there are some parts that are going to need more care than others. And then there are some parts that's gonna need some Bondo. That's not good. So I was checking my stash, seeing what I had, and I came across this, which I used on another project. El gato. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot, because why not? So here I have it. I used it on the top of this piece, which, you know, you can see where I didn't touch it with rust remover. And now here where I did, a rust converter, and I like it. The only problem I have though is this is such a thin little spindly metal. I really wish I could paint this on. So I'm gonna go see if I can either get more, hopefully, on a paint on so it's not as wasteful, or more in the can, because it works. Honestly though, the more you sand it, the better it looks.
Spoilers.
So just a heads up there. So in addition to the rust reformer, I came across some other products. I've never tried these. Gonna have to experiment. So I ended up using a whole can of the rust reformer on this. Unfortunately, I couldn't find in my local stores ones that you would paint on. If you can find them, I'll try to get a link to it online, to maybe an Amazon. Done! Because you might be a better planner than I am, and that would be much more cost effective for you. Well, it looks pretty good with the rust reformer on there, and it's doing its thing. It's creating what I believe is black oxide metal. I'll put it up here because I might have that wrong. But here's the thing. If I decided to say, oh, okay, it's set, let's go ahead and just leave it outside, maybe put a little Bondo in the big hole that it has, but otherwise I'm good to go. That wouldn't work either. I mean, we have converted the rust into a different type of metal, but it means the whole piece really isn't protected though. So I'm gonna go ahead and still prime it and then paint it to keep it protected and lasting longer in the elements. Now the other thing I'm gonna try is that hole that I talked about. I'm gonna try and use some steel Bondo. I've never used
You're
this.
getting ahead of yourself as usual.
For the most part, I'm really pleased with how the rust reformer worked on this piece, and I probably could just, you know, spray it and call it a day. But because I know that there are a lot of bumpy spots, I'm going to try this product. Live and learn, right? It is supposed to be a filler, so it should do just fine on evening things out.
5 minutes later.
Sort of on the fence when it comes to the filler, because, well, it's hard to get a good focus on here, but yeah, I don't think it worked too hot. But then I sit there and I look at, well, you know, clearly there's dripping here from when I did the other side. Could it be user error?
It's your fault.
Yeah, very likely. But not to worry. I was having fun at the hardware store, so I picked up this. I'm gonna give it a shot. Never worked with this before. Well, never worked with this before either. Let's see how they go. Remove the amount you need. You're gonna thoroughly knead the putty with your fingers to a uniform color wearing gloves, and then press firmly into the spot where you want it to be. And it sets in 3 to 5 minutes. It's like totally done in 60 minutes. Ooh, did it in my lanai, which is pretty well ventilated. But yeah, there is a harsh chemical smell that comes with this. It doesn't quite fill the room, but it's like strong and mean, so I took it outside to dry. I'm so glad I followed the recommendations that you wear gloves because, you know, having worked in clay just in an art way, I know how much clay leaves behind in residual on your hands. I certainly didn't want something that was gonna bond to metal on skin. Just didn't seem like a good idea. I have to say, this is pretty fantastic. Really, really pleased with the results of that. Well, I was almost done and ready to do the old, you know, ooh, here's the final results, jazzy YouTube music, but I just had to mess with it.
Couldn't you just leave well enough alone?
While I'm messing with it, all I'm doing is I'm using some of this gold paint. I've used this on projects before. It's really good. I'll do one of these and one of these so you can link to see it on the tabletop I used it on. This is my first time trying it on metal. But speaking of trying products, let's discuss. The first one, this one, I have used it in a different piece. It's linked in the description below, so you can see where I've used it before in a cat. I like it. There are other makers of this, and do they work as well, if not better? I don't know. I've been pretty satisfied with this one, and it's got, you know, the accessibility of it, so that's why I'm really happy with that. I will caution that I don't put it, or I haven't put it on any piece that gets harshly used. So like, you know, if you were doing it for an automotive kind of thing, maybe not the best. I don't know. I will though. There's a guy who does a great thing about, you know, what actually happens and what the chemical reaction is that's causing a new metal to be formed. I will put a link to him in the description below because you can learn a lot on that one. But as overall use-wise, I liked it. My only tip is if I were doing this piece for someone else, I would have sanded it more before I put that on and sanded it again after and then another coat. So I probably would have needed more cans of this. If you can get it in a paintable version, which I couldn't, but if it's out there, buy that version because I think you'll waste less and you'll be able to do better coverage. Of course, you know, spray gives it smoother, yada yada. But one of the reasons I didn't sand it too much is because I was also going to try out this product. And
how very reassuring.
I'm on the fence about it. I have a feeling that some of it could be that it's just user error.
You mean you?
And yeah, that happens. But I found that, and it could also just be the piece I was using it on, because I think if it was a flat piece, I could probably get a more leveled fill, because what I ended up getting was a lot of dripping, which created more work if I had sanded it. And it just, I don't know. If I had a flat piece of metal that gets rusty, I might get this again.
Spoilers!
But I'm not gonna rush out and get it anytime I have metal that has issues. Does that make sense? Okay, let's move on. So, this is the bomb. I loved it. This was, of all the products, I mean, I took very little of it. I am actually now under the mindset of, whew, I'm going to look for old rusty metal pieces because this does such a fabulous job on them. The only thing is it does recommend using gloves, which you really, really should. And I saw a lot of people who used it and didn't.
You gonna snitch on it?
The other thing I would also recommend is it's got a very harsh scent. Please, if you're gonna use it, do it outside. It dries so fast that, you know, it's not a big deal. You can take the piece back in like 10 minutes or so. So use it outside. But otherwise, wow, love, 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 love. It makes me want to go and try their other Bondo things for wood and yada yada. So we'll see how that goes. But now, without any further ado, let's take a look back at where we started. And if you could, please click subscribe, give a thumbs up. That really helps out the channel and I appreciate it so, so, so much. And now, here's the final results. Thanks for watching the Asking Spot. Got bonus round, bloopers, something, I don't know, bumper coming up next. It needs a little bit of a hole patch. Oh, that's not attractive. Time and effort and money if I just said, well, if that looks good enough, I'll just go leave it outside. Oh my goodness. This was so cool. I'm gonna have to edit all of this, so